From KELOLAND Media Group, your local election headquarters, a special Inside KELOLAND. Conversations with the candidates.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Bridget Bennett. Today we are talking to the three people who want to be South Dakota's next governor. We invited all three candidates to join us for our conversation. Some of today's questions come from our newsroom. Others are from you, the viewers. We're going to talk with the candidates in the order you will find them on the ballot. Our first guest today is Democrat Jamie Smith. Mr. Smith, thanks for being here today. Why don't you start off by telling people why you decided to run for governor?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Why did I run for governor? South Dakota needs a different choice. South Dakotans deserve a governor that's focused on them and that wants to work here in the state of South Dakota, working for average, ordinary, everyday people. You know, I have a history of getting things done in the House of Representatives by working across the aisle in a bipartisan way, and people are longing for just a leader that leads by example with common sense and goodness in our state. And that's exactly who I am, and that's why I want to be the governor of South Dakota.
If elected, what would your top priority be as governor of the state?
First of all, my very top priority is opening up communications to everyone in the state and allowing people to be heard. But that being said, we have crises in several areas. Nursing homes would be one. We got to make sure we're doing stuff to take care of our elderly and that vulnerable population. But then the other end of the spectrum, it's childcare in the state. What can we do to make sure that people that want to be in the workforce can be, but also that their kids are safe? Those are very important things to me. And so two of my top priorities deal with different ages at the ends of the spectrums, but they're both so important to all of us.
All right, now getting into the campaign a little bit, a recent ad for Kristi Noem says you want to take away people's gun rights. Is that true? Not true at all. There are so many things that the Noem campaign has labeled me that are not true. I'm not taking away anybody's guns. I'm not going to do it. I own guns myself. I just went pheasant hunting. We had a great time. The pheasants were very safe, by the way. I'm a terrible shot, but I sure enjoy the heck out of it. And so I tell you what, that's not true. That's a false statement. And there's a bunch more that, that deal with all kinds of things that they say about me that just aren't true. I'm sure we'll talk about more of them today. Now, how would you change South Dakota's gun laws?
You know what? I'd work, first of all, gun education I think is very important, and gun safety, making sure that people that do have guns know how to operate them safely and make sure that they know how to have them stored safely as well. I think there are problems sometimes with guns, especially when people don't know how to be around them, right? And so we need to work on that. The only times I've ever said anything about guns, and that would be if a person's not mentally stable and not safe to be around their firearms, they shouldn't be, because we have a problem in our state with suicide, and we don't want people injuring themselves when they're not mentally stable. The other things that I thought, we had a concealed carry permit in the past. That's what I voted against. I have an F rating with the NRA because of that, because I said that we still could have a concealed carry permit, and South Dakotans, 90% of them agreed with me on that.
Now, switching gears, you have supported repealing the grocery tax during the past legislative sessions. How would you suggest making up for that loss in tax revenue?
Making sure that we are very stable with our taxes is important on that. And the food, by the way, we've been championing this food tax for years. We've been trying to get this regressive tax off the system. That being said, we have a $115 million surplus, and it's probably larger than that today when we speak, that we could have been actually doing something with this whole time. That's money that we have that could have taken this away. So that is exactly the things we're talking about. The other thing is cannabis. If cannabis passes, when that passes, there'll be a new opportunity right there to help reduce those taxes on food or eliminate them.
If you were elected and Medicaid expansion passes, how would the state handle that change?
That would be amazing for the state of South Dakota. When I first campaigned 6 years ago, I campaigned on Governor Dugard's plan for Medicaid expansion, and we didn't get it done, and it didn't happen. And we've left billions of dollars out of our local economy over the years by not expanding. What will happen there is we're going to get a match from the federal government. And so for about every dollar that we pay, we're going to get 10 back from the federal government. And right now, it's not even that much. It's not even that much. And there'll be thousands of South Dakotans that have access to health care. Do you know how much better a healthy workforce is? How much better it is for South Dakotans, the thousands of them that don't have to worry about going bankrupt if they get sick? That is a stabilizing force in the state of South Dakota that will help grow businesses, that will help Main Street, and that will help everyday South Dakotans.
Speaking of health care, what are your thoughts on South Dakota's current abortion laws?
We've gone too far. And South Dakotans agree with me on that. We've gone too far, and Kristi Noem has done nothing to stop it. We asked to call a special session on that. She didn't want to do that. She didn't want to have the opportunity to change that law. And so right now, there's no exception for rape. There's no exception for incest. Doctors aren't able to do their job right now. And they'll tell you that they can. It's not true. It's not true. The law is so restrictive that people can't get the health care that they need in South Dakota. I'm for women being able to get health care that they need and to be able to make choices that they deem important for their health and their future.
Another conversation that's been happening a lot in South Dakota is critical race theory. Is it a problem in our state?
First of all, I'm a former teacher. I know lots of teachers, and it's not. They even did a study and showed that it wasn't. And then when they were pushed on that, they said, oh, we just didn't want to make sure it gets here. What that is, it's a stirring of the pot. They're trying to get people stirred up, scared, and angry. Our teachers aren't doing that. Like I said, I was a teacher. Teachers are so frustrated right now with the lack of respect that they're getting from the current governor that, we're bringing in people from outside the state of South Dakota to come up with our standards here in South Dakota. It's never been done that way before, and that's not how we do things here. We trust our teachers to be the professionals that they are, and as governor, I'll make sure that we follow through with trusting our educators in the state of South Dakota.
Now, is there anything else that you'd want to leave your voters with today?
Well, I just want to talk so much about the fact that so many things are being said about the Smith campaign that just aren't true. All right? I am not going to raise your taxes. All right? I'm not going to do that. That's a lie. Okay? There are so many of those things that have been said about me. You've talked about it, taking away your guns. Not true. I am a moderate. I am a middle-of-the-road, straightforward, straight shooter who sits and has conversations with anybody. My doors will be open, and we will work together to try to solve real problems here in the state of South Dakota. We aren't going to import problems. We're going to solve real problems in South Dakota and make sure that everybody has an equal opportunity in our state for success.
Thank you very much for your time today. It is time for a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a conversation with a Libertarian candidate.